All right. Welcome back. There's a sweetness and a gentleness to her voice. There is a calm confidence in her lyrics. There is strength there within those chords. There's a curiosity, a sense of wonderment about life with equal amounts of caution and all its complexities. The whole world eventually makes a cameo and becomes subject in her lyrics. She is a born storyteller. She is uniquely Louise Goffin, and she is my special guest today. Whether she is writing music, composing, or mining the stories of her contemporaries, fellow music artists, on her podcast, Song Chronicles, Louise has a seemingly endless curiosity about the art of creating music. Back in season 8, seems like so long ago, episode 348, Louise was on the show, interviewed by my friend and hers, Mike Gormley, and his series, Mike Gormley Presents Music Icons. What a great title for his guest on that episode. This time, I get her all to myself, and we are going to tell stories. She's here to talk about her new single, which we're going to premiere at the very end of this interview. It's called Everybody's Got a Story to Tell. And she's here to also talk about her podcast. And if that's not enough, she's got an online songwriting masterclass. You've got to sign up. If there's still room, I'm not sure. We'll find out. But wow, can you imagine to have Louise Goffin as your instructor here on songwriting, online songwriting masterclass? So to borrow from a great song, everybody's got a story to tell. Welcome, Louise. And what story are you trying to tell right now?
Thank you, Jeremiah. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you for that. And it's good to talk to you on this episode. I had a great conversation with Mike Gormley before.
Yeah, everybody should go back and listen to that, because go ahead, but it was great. Really great.
Yeah, and yeah, it's really great to talk to you, and you've been so helpful with tips for podcasting and all of that. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, the story that I am telling today, I think everything's storytelling, and actually, one of my podcast episodes at the beginning of the year was with Mark Rubel, who was my engineering professor in Nashville at the Blackbird Academy, and he's very beloved, and for good reason. A lot of the kids call him Wizard. Very knowledgeable, very inspiring episode, and in that episode, he says everything is storytelling, and audio, even the sounds that you choose, is a story. Yeah. So I love that. The other thing I love, I'll just throw this in, the quote that I love from that interview is he said, "There's nothing difficult about audio engineering. If you can operate a car stereo, you can operate a recording studio. It's basically bass, treble, left, right, front, back. You're good to go."
So you mean my sound engineer who acts like he's just, I'm just overwhelming him with all these requests. Are you telling me Dr. D is, I could do his job? It's not that hard.
Well, most things in life, Jeremiah, really come down to belief. Yeah. And when it comes to things that are quote unquote technical, most of us believe, oh, I don't know how to do technical. I need an expert to do technical. But I find you can pretty much solve any problem on YouTube. Just look it up.
That is so true. I've learned how to do so many things from graphic. I'm a graphic artist now.
Oh, how
I mean,
great.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm just kidding, but I've learned how to edit, not very well. Um, your cuts maybe, video wise, not that sharp, just to warn you. But yeah, no, I YouTube, you can do anything. I'm so interested though, as you about you as that storyteller that you describe yourself as, and that's very apparent in your lyrics, in your music, in uh, in your podcast, when you're interviewing. One thing that Mike Gormley, your musicians, to finish my sentence, and one thing that Mike Gormley does that I think you two have in common is you grew up. I mean, literally, you grew up in music business from day one on, and you've seen it in all the different forms and shapes that it's taken and where it's at now. And I mean, it's changed from a year ago, 3 years ago, before COVID. I think it was when we talked last. And you're telling the story of what it was like in these different time periods, which is so important, I think, for young musicians to understand where it's come from, and also to kind of chronicle and historically log those stories. Because you've had so many great guests on. Mike's had great guests on, and you're telling a story from a different viewpoint. Would you agree with that? And that it's so important to tell those stories?
Well, I'm telling a story as a survivor.
Mhm.
It's one thing to come, there are a lot of people who have come from different eras with exciting times. People, my career is interesting because I think the most notable thing about my career is that it's still growing. A lot of people are trading on, what they did in the 80s or what they did in the 90s, or the storytelling, or writing a book, or public speaking about, the hits and the accolades that they had in another era. I feel like I was never happy with, an accolade in itself, and I also didn't get a lot of them. But I was always my drive to do music always came from a desire, one, for mental health. I needed it, which is something that in my classes, when I mentor people, I'm like, your notebook is your best friend your whole life. And songwriting is one of the few places, in the world. There's probably other ones and I don't know them so well, but where you can completely be in charge of the universe that you live in.
Mhm.
It's not about your parents or your country or your church or your school or your teachers or the degrees you get or the degrees you don't get. It's not about your peer group. You get to decide what your universe is,
Yeah.
and express it without judgment. And then the beauty is if you create a place, where you're breaking barriers, you're inviting other people into that space with you, and you're building trust with them by you trusting yourself, and by you being who you truly are, you're inviting other people into that safe space. So music and songwriting is just, to me, one of the and storytelling is one of the most, it's an honor to be part of that creative thing. And in terms of, well, you said nice things about my writing. I appreciate that. What I'm really doing is going for that ring of truth, and one of the things I often will share with people in my songwriting classes. And by the way, yeah, sign up. It's very affordable, and it's great just seeing other writers and their process. And I'm always blown away by how talented people are. I mean, even people come on who like don't play an instrument, and then they sing a lyric and a cappella, and I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like the bar goes up.
Does
And
it feed you that?
well, it just inspires
Yeah.
me, I mean, it's so easy to talk yourself out of things. And when you see someone fearless who has like way less experience and they just go for it, it's very inspiring. But one of the things that I often say is we go through life fast. We don't really get in touch with our feelings. One of the reasons we love songs is because it helps articulate things that we feel, for us.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, if you're a writer, I look at it like a camera. A camera comes in a room and it pans, and the camera and the lens decides what you focus on. Are you focusing on the breathing? Are you focusing on the angry lover who slammed the door? Are you focusing, what are you focusing? Are you focusing on a thing, the tulips on the table while, a house is burning across the street? Whatever you put your camera on is all people know.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're writing a song, people get lost in their thoughts about things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're the camera,
And they connect.
Yeah, show us. And if you write a song, especially lyrics, I'm all about the lyrics. Music's important, but the lyrics, to me, it makes it less, vague. It really connects. And for me, the lyrics are, if you slow things down, because emotions, here's the thing, a minute emotionally can feel like forever. Time can stand still. It can be suspended. We have that in films. We go into the movies and, if we're really drawn into something, we're on a whole journey in like an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
So if you do a song in a way where you're really focused on the camera of each thing that you're saying, and you go through it slowly instead of, I did that line, I'm going to write the next line, I'm going to rhyme this with that, and too thinky, you rob people and yourself and your audience of the opportunity to be in that room with you and create an experience. So yeah, these are things I talk about, and maybe sometimes people get intimidated. They think, oh, she's from these songwriting, background, and it's going to be like, I'm not up for it, I'm not good enough. And I am not talking about all the things that most people are talking about in songwriting classes. I can talk about rhythm, I can talk about rhyming, but there's some really amazing songs that have no rhymes in them.
How do you put them at ease? You talked about they're intimidated. I would be too, and I haven't given out your family history in this so far because but you can if you'd like. But yeah, they would be intimidated, and I would imagine. How do you kind of ease that tension or that stress so that because they can use if they're there, they're always intimidated before they log on or sign up, but that just shows that they conquered a fear to be there, and they're courageous to get there. They're there now. How do you help them relax enough to open up and tell that truth that you're searching for in storytelling?
Well, first of all, I am someone who puts people at ease. I just am myself. And I'm interested in people. That's why I love doing my podcast, because I'm interested. I want to know about people. I'm curious, where they came from and their story and how they got to where they are today. So that puts people at ease. The main thing is I just took a UCLA class and I couldn't do all the assignments on time, and the teacher was really cool about like, you're all busy, but just hand them in before the class is over. And I loved it so much. And the most important thing was that I knew nothing about the subject, or thought I did anyway, but I just showed up. And there's something just about the advocating for yourself enough to sign up for a class and further your knowledge.
Right.
It made me want to put everything into it. And it was luck of the draw. I've signed up for classes that I just can't relate to, but I so loved this one. It was actually a filmmaking class. Like you, I love editing is my happy place. I love editing videos and the podcast, and oh, it's very time consuming.
It is, but it is enjoyable. Can
It's
I take you
enjoyable.
back? Can I take
Yeah.
you back a little bit? Because I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but you said something that I thought was really fascinating, that in songwriting, I'm gonna try to get it as close to what you said as possible. But basically that in songwriting for you, you're able to go into a world and tell a story and not maybe leave all those things the world told you you were or you are behind a little, if I got that right. And so now it's more pure, it's more honest, and you're trying to get to that place of who you are. And it's easier. It's a happy place. You said, what it makes you feel better. Do you think that we could also do that? Because we get up. I got up today and I really had at 4 a.m. to get ready actually for us. And I thought I gotta, don't let anything, emails are coming in and I'm getting kind of agitated and anxious and all the things you got to do. And I'm like, let me tell my story today is going to be a good one. We're going to have a great conversation, hopefully. And that's what I told myself. Do you think you can do what you talk about with a song in your life? Can we tell ourselves a different story every day?
A
Even though it's hard.
100%. I mean, that's been my life. That's been my life. It's just rooting out, working backwards, which is sometimes we don't know what we believe, but you can look at your behaviors and your choices,
Yeah.
and you can work backwards, and you can ask yourself, what must I believe that I did
Yeah.
this or chose that or stayed there or did not do that opportunity, but instead, all these things. I like to be it's like a treasure hunt, you know. Now there's all sorts of people. Some people are not self. It's just to whatever what did I do wrong? How do I fix it?
Yeah.
That could have been a male or female voice, by the way. but um, and I can be one of those people who has done that to a fault. Like, if there's a conflict in a situation, assuming it must be me, or I'm the one who's going to make all the changes. But yeah, I believe that we can change the stories we tell ourselves.
Mhm.
Most of them are unconscious, and most of them come from a very long time ago, when we're
Mhm.
children. And
What what is the this is a personal question, but and you don't have to answer obviously if you don't want, but what is the thing that you challenges you the most that you tell yourself that is not true, but it just comes back day after day after day?
oh wow. Well, it's a big one for a lot of people. I can say one that I'm not enough. I once did this workshop on, you know, more and better was the title. That we all are constantly saying, I need to be more, or I need to do more, or it's not enough. It's got to be better. It's got to be better, and this perfectionism, and really what it comes down to, it's a lack of self-acceptance with where you are, who you are today. It's just like the not signing up for the class. I'm not ready. I'm going to wait until blah, 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 till I'll sign up for the class. I'm
Right.
going to wait until, all sorts of risks people want to take in life, they wait until they feel in control enough
Right.
where they can control the outcome, and then they'll show up. But life isn't like that. Life is
Yeah.
really
Do
about,
it now.
yeah, if
Right.
someone throws you in a swimming pool, you're going to swim.
Right.
But if you're deciding to go in the pool, you'll sit at the side and go, I'm not ready. It's too cold. I'm not going in, and when you realize you have one life and time is ticking, I mean, if you're wasting time in a way you're enjoying it, then like more power to you. I love to waste time enjoyably. But you know, our minds keep us
That's
locked.
so true. You
Yeah.
put off things. You say, well, maybe I don't have enough money right now, or maybe I can't do, maybe I should do this instead of that, or I've got work, tomorrow, or, and you take the left instead of the right, and you just never know what you've missed, if you don't just go follow that gut and follow. And if you want to do it, do it. Maybe you're not going to be perfect today, but maybe you work on it. And speaking of, this is if you're a songwriter, or you want to be a musician, or you just feel like it's in you, but you don't know where to start, this is a great class to take with Louise Goffin, right? It's an online class. To talk about it a little bit. I
Yeah,
mean, you
it's
have been, but
well,
like
yeah, it's
I'm
in
encouraging
August.
the listeners. There's listeners right now that are really going, oh, should I do it? I say do it, right?
Thank
Sign
you.
up. Do you have space?
Yeah, yeah, we still have some space now. I haven't done a full-on promotion. I put it out on my socials mostly. But yeah, you can go to my website, louisegoffin.com, and one of the menus thing says Songwriting Academy, and it'll be there. And I've done these before. It's August, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'll record them. So if you had to miss one, you can get the recording of it. And it's 90 minutes. And it's just a lot of great knowledge that you can take away with you and unpack later afterwards, and it can be in a different time zone and all of that. I just want to because I know we're running out of time and Mariel is coming soon. I just want to go back to what I was saying earlier about the single.
Mhm.
When I was in the record and I thought, okay, now I need to, so I didn't want to go to Muscle Shoals. I was like, it's so expensive. I'm going to go there. I'm going to be a week. It's just like it. I was very much after COVID, like a lot of people. I just want to do everything at home. Travel, staying somewhere, renting a car. Like it just seemed too much, and I pushed myself to change the location, and I was so grateful. So this song, Spooner Oldham, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, David Hood, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Spooner Oldham comes in to play some parts and he says, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Want to write a song?" And I was going to take my car back to Nashville and get ready to go to LA. So I canceled everything and he came in at 2 and we wrote this song. And then he said, "All right, let's just leave it." And then Charles, whose studio it was, when we went out for tacos that night, he was secretly texting an entire band. And at the end says, "Hey, it's a sign. You're supposed to cut this in Muscle Shoals, and I've got a whole band who's going to show up at the studio at 9 p.m." I was like, "What?" So we went back and we cut this song, and I played Wurlitzer because Spooner had left. And we cut the song live. Like what you're hearing is a live take. I
Oh,
did some of
cool.
the, yeah. So I wanted to put this out as a single because it was just its own thing. And yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we're gonna play that in just a moment here. You know what? I looked up when I looked up Muscle Shoals. It's in Alabama. Yes, is that the
Yes,
Muscle
it has
Shoals?
a huge history. There's a great
Right.
documentary called Muscle Shoals. So it's
Oh, I
really,
gotta check it out.
yeah.
Yeah, so I looked it up, and not since 1977, Wishbone Recording Studio. His studio engineer Steve Moore was there, and then
The
purchased
Rolling
Avalon.
Stones. Yeah. Did you say Percy Sledge?
No, I was just going down the list. You tell me about it because
Oh,
you've been
oh
there.
no,
And
yeah, it's a huge list. I don't know Percy Sledge. I just misheard you, but yeah, it's a huge list. Aretha Franklin was there. The Rolling Stones went there. Actually, what the crazy thing is my dad recorded a record there in 1973 in Muscle Shoals. Spooner played
wow.
on it. I think David Hood, who played bass with me, also played on it. David Hood kept a diary of every session he did, but he must have missed a couple because he didn't have things about my dad. But yeah, it was crazy. My dad
Those
made
were
a
the good
double
nights.
record called "It Ain't Exactly Entertainment." He said, "If Bob Dylan can sing, I can sing." And yeah, but
I
so
like so on the if I want everybody to go to YouTube channel, and check out your background. So is that the studio there? Is that where you recorded?
Well,
some of
my
this?
background here is Fame Studios,
Okay.
and I did not. Uh, yeah, it was Fame Studios, and I didn't actually record this single there. I recorded it nearby. It's all like a cluster. Hi, Melissa.
Hey,
Yeah,
nice to see you.
Mariel Hemingway and Melissa Yamaguchi are jumping in here. Louise Goffin, they're coming up in the next hour, and we're just hanging out with Louise Goffin here, talking music and her new single. But keep going, please.
Oh yeah. So it was really great. And actually my son, who is 23, I was really having a hard time with like mixing some of these songs, and he he was the person who said go to recording engineering school.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
He was in my recording studio, and he was helping me clean up cables. And this was, I don't know, the beginning of 2019 or something. He said, Mom, I'm telling you, if you go to the Blackbird Academy and take an engineering course there, it will change the way you appreciate music for the rest of your life. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a adult human who does not have 6 months to go move to another city and take a course. But then I took my younger son there for summer camp for 1 week, like engineering camp. And while I was there, I sat in the class that my older son had graduated from, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to leave. And it was a person I interviewed, Mark Rubel. He let me sit in his class. And I had set up songwriting with people in Nashville, as you do, you sit up with the writers. I was like, I want to cancel all my songwriting sessions and stay in this class with the other, 19-year-olds. Maybe there was a 23-year-old, and maybe there was a 42-year-old, and maybe there was a 35-year-old, but the rest were all like 19. And here's me. And I just went up and I went upstairs, and they said, all we need is your high school transcripts. And I was like, God, where are those? Where are they buried? And I was able to find them, and I enrolled, and I just didn't go home. I sent my son home to his dad, and I stayed.
So did it change your life?
It did
Sounds
change
like
my life. And then, I started overly relying on my older sons to like, hey, I want to do this mix, and how do I do this? And then I realized you can figure anything out on YouTube. You can go and look up Melissa Yamaguchi and Mariel Hemingway, and anything you want to find. Hi, Mariel.
Sorry.
How do you look so great? You look amazing. Whatever your wellness program is, I want to know.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Melissa, before we let you go, Melissa always asks such great questions, and I know she was, when she heard that we share the calendar, and she saw your name and was thrilled. Really? Melissa, would you like to ask a question before we go out?
Well, it's been a while since I've seen you, so it's nice to see you again. Ianthe was asking me about connecting with you, so I'm glad I'll be able to tell her that we made that.
I love
saw
that
you again.
connection.
Yeah. So the question, I do have a question. I came in on the tail end, and I apologize for not being here sooner, but I have a 21-year-old son who makes music for kicks and giggles, and he's actually doing not too bad with it and throwing it up on SoundCloud. So when we have people in our audience listening who have children, or they themselves, as you shared your story, are interested in seeing if the interest is worth exploring further, what's your tip that you would say? What's that little tickle that would entice somebody to move beyond the couch of knitting with their passion? What do you think?
First, they take her class online.
Well, I'm teaching a songwriting masterclass. It all starts with a song. I mean, unless you're doing like house music or something, DJing. But I like songs. But Melissa, that's a really good question. I think people need to decide what they want out of making music. Some people just do it for their soul and their self-esteem and the joy that it brings them. And if you're doing it for all those reasons, I say get a job as well. You can make more money waiting tables than you can making music, even if you're really good at it. So
That's terrible.
yeah. So that's one thing. But get your tools. Listen to things on, whatever you use, if it's Spotify, Amazon, Apple. Apple pays better than Spotify. So songwriters like to say, go to Apple because they pay us more. But yeah, whatever you use, check out things, get on those, look at those playlists. And if you hear something you like, hear something else you like, and figure out what your palate is. Like if you're a chef, you know that you like the taste of certain things and you don't like the taste of other things. And if you're a really good chef, you'll probably use less ingredients, have more of the central thing. You'd present it more simply. You wouldn't hide it in sauces. You wouldn't throw a bunch of canned things on it. If you're doing music, I look at it a lot like cooking. You want to have the thing be of quality, like a good script and a good song. And then you learn your trade well enough so that it expresses who you are. If you like my son, my younger son, he's like, I used to say, you got to have the song first and then you do the production. And he's like, no, ear candy first, and then you know what to put on it, because ultimately you want ear candy and you might as well have it first, and then you know what the lyrics and melody need to be. And I'm like, okay, there's no right answer. You can do it anyway. So I don't know if that helps, but all I'd say is, parents, let your kids make noise, let them have a drum kit, let them play guitar, encourage them. School of Rock is great. It's all over the nation. My kids did it, and you learn all these great artists, and they go and perform. And anyway, that was a long answer.
I like that. It's like the Alice Waters approach to music.
I was listening, by the way.
You've taken the Alice Waters approach to music. I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
The combination. I like it. I dig it a lot.
Well,
that's great.
Speaking of great music, great songwriting, we're about to debut your new single, Louise. And correct me if I'm wrong. Let me tell you where you can hear. You're going to drop it on your podcast.
Actually, Friday.
Friday, right?
I don't know
July
when. Is this going out live?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Are we the first to play it? Are you
live right now?
Oh, I didn't tell you.
Are we on YouTube live right now? Or no? Okay. Yeah. So it's the 23rd. I'm premiering it on my podcast. My new podcast episode, by the way, is with Dave Davies of the Kinks.
I know. I was just about to tell everybody. It's an incredible
interview about the creative process. Dave is, I want to say, an underrated songwriter. Maybe that's not true. Maybe he is rated, but a lot of the attention is on his brother, Ray Davies, Raymond, as he refers to him. But Dave's songs are just so incredible. They're incredible. Anyway.
Yeah, that's this Friday.
Talking to him.
That's this Friday. Well, yeah. I think we might be, unless you tell me not to, we're going to be beating your podcast where you're premiering it here first.
Tomorrow?
Yes. Unless you say
you
not
are
to.
fast.
You tell me no after if you want. Louise Goffin's been our special guest, and you got to come back because we barely scratched the surface today. It was so great. New single drops. You're gonna hear it right now before anybody else. It's called Everybody's Got a Story to Tell, and it was recorded in Muscle Shoals at East Avalon Recorders, co-written with Spooner Oldham. And again, that's where you say the Rolling Stones, everybody's played there. They recorded there. It's a great single. And you want to say anything else about it before we go straight to the music?
I just loved it. I mean, when the band left, Charles was like, just do a bunch of like improv at the end. So I started doing all this talking, it was very Debbie Harry, and and I had a bunch of like improv takes, and then when I mixed it, which actually my son mixed it, and Elijah Wells, you can go to his website, Elijah Wells Music or something. He's a producer, engineer, and he mixed it. And he just listened to all these improv talking things, and it was like, that one. Let's use that one. And it was just like a whole take, and it's so fun. It really is.
Yeah, it's really great.
So
Great.
thank
Should
you.
we-
And so,
should we
all right,
play
you're
it
gonna
for
beat
everybody?
me. Yeah, you go. You premiere it.
Hold on one second before we premiere. I just wanted to let everybody know, go to louisegoffin.com, LouiseGoffin.com. This single's called Everybody's Got a Story. And also go take the online songwriting masterclass with Louise Goffin. Do it. Don't be brave. Just do it. You'll surprise yourself. And up next is Mariel Hemingway and Melissa Yamaguchi here. They've joined us here at the end, and they're coming up next. So stay tuned. And here you go. New single, Louise Goffin.
Everybody's got a story to tell.
Thanks, Louise. Let's talk to you soon.
All right, Mariel and Melissa and Jeremiah, thank you so much.